Wait, before you scroll on, did you know that the Villages is actually seeing its lowest number of active listings so far this year, but still has more homes for sale than this time last year? If you're wondering whether now is a good time to buy or sell, stick around because today I am breaking down the real numbers, the trends, and what it may actually mean for you. Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin, a realtor with LVT Realty, and this is Visit the Villages, Florida. So I had another video planned that I was going to work on today for y'all, but I actually just got back from a girls' bachelorette trip, plus a quick 24 hours in New York City, where my flight from Newark didn't end up actually getting back to Orlando until 3 a.m. Thank you. So what I thought I was going to do is kind of scrap that. I'm now going to do a deep dive of any changes that have happened in the market while I was gone. So since I'm going to research it, we can research it. Let's do it all together. We're looking at the Villages in Marion, Sumter, and Lake counties. And remember, all of these numbers are pulled directly from the Stellar MLS matrix. So this is real-time MLS data. We are not looking at the VLS or, some of those fun little rumor mill word of mouth numbers that you may see floating around on the news. All right, let's start with inventory because this is where buyers and sellers will definitely see the biggest impact. So right now, what we're seeing is the Villages is actually sitting at its lowest active listing count that we've seen all year. But here's the kicker. Even with that, we still have about 130 more homes on the market today than we did this time last year. So while it may feel like the options are tightening up than some of the earlier months, in reality, buyers still have more choices than they did this time last summer. Compared to even just last month, inventory dipped by about 50 listings, which, yes, is a typical seasonal trend as we ease into the summer heat. But it is something to keep an eye on if you're planning on listing your home soon. Lots of people do say that they're going to wait to list their house until snowbird season, where they may make a little bit more money. But remember, there could also be an extra 100 houses that you now have to compete with. So even though pricing may be a little bit tighter and buyers could have more variety, you're really going to have to make your house stand out in one way or another. Buyers are out here now looking, so list if you're ready. Let's talk about what really drives a lot of the conversations, and that is prices. Prices in the Villages have stayed pretty steady throughout 2025. The average sales price that we've seen so far actually peaked in January at $375,000, which isn't all that surprising because that's our busy snowbird season when demand is at its peak. Since then, things have leveled out nicely in that $350,000 to $360,000 range, almost mirroring exactly what we saw this time or pretty much all of 2024. What does that tell us? Well, first, it means that we are not seeing those sharp spikes in appreciation that dominated headlines in the years right after COVID. The market is behaving a little bit more normally now with some more stable prices, and buyers are taking their time to find that right fit. All of these numbers could also mean that more buyers are gravitating towards smaller, maybe more affordable homes like patio villas and other low maintenance options to stay within their comfort zone budget wise. That's something for sellers with smaller homes should pay attention to because the demand in that segment could really drive up some of their values down the line. The thing that stands out the most for me is really in all the Villages counties is that we currently have about 8 months of inventory on the market right now. So that means if no more homes were to come on the market right now today, the ratio between buyers and sellers and what's on the market, it would take a full 8 months to completely go through all of our inventory. So what they say is typically anything over 6 months of inventory is considered a buyer's market. So it's no surprise to say that we are very much still in that buyer's market. We have a lot of work to do to get closer to that balanced market range, which is anywhere in that 4 to 6 months of inventory. Now, one area that isn't quite as rosy for the sellers right now is that list price to sales price ratio. This is such an important statistic that I wish more buyers and sellers paid attention to, because basically this number shows the average gap between when a house first hits the market and for what it actually closes for. And right now, that gap is looking at about $30,000. So, in other words, buyers are negotiating or holding out on sellers to make them drop the price before they want to show any interest. In fact, if we look back just a few months ago, especially last September, that gap widened even more, and we saw it as high as $50,000. A lot of folks assume that during snowbird season, this gap shrinks, and it can, but not as much as you may think. In January and March of this year, the gap did drop to about $10,000, which is closer to what we see in those hotter markets. But even during the other winter months, we still saw gaps like right around that $30,000 difference. So if you're a seller thinking that you can list high and expect multiple offers, or really just people to kind of play with you for having a higher price, those days aren't here anymore. Pricing realistically from the start has to be that key. Now, days on the market is another number that is a bigger story than people realize. So right now, the average home in the Villages is going under contract between 35 and 55 days. I actually think that this is a very healthy range. It tells us that houses are moving, but buyers are not rushing, and that's normal. If your home sits longer than 60 days without a contract, it usually points to three things: price, condition, or location. And here's the truth. Location and condition can't always be changed overnight, but the price can. Now, this one thing, for the active listings on the market right now, it shows that their average days on market is 74 to 91 days. So sellers need to start making changes now in order to get a contract. All right, we're going to finish with some fun numbers because I know you love hearing about what's out here right now. So if you are dreaming of buying, these details might help you get a realistic picture of what's available. So we're going to break it down county by county. So in Lake County, there are 91 active listings. The lowest price home is at $109,000, while the highest tops at $1.125 million. The average home on the market in Lake County right now is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, built in 1993 and listed for about $319,000. In Marion County, we have 87 active listings. The prices range from $205,000 to $925,000, and the houses are a little bit newer. They're a 3-bed, 2-bath at about built in 2002, going for about $350,000. Now we have Sumter County. This is our heavyweight. We have 428 active listings. The lowest one starts at $218,000, and then it goes all the way up to $1.599 for some of those like premium designer homes with all of the upgrades and like the massive lots. The average Sumter County home for sale right now was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath built in 2006 and listed for about $389,000. When we're looking at the houses for a very generalized statement, most of the homes under that like $240,000 price point are manufactured. There are a handful of site built, but this is just to go ahead and give you that general idea depending on what you're looking at. So the big takeaway from all this, the Villages market is still stable, and we are in a very much of a buyer's market. There's more inventory than last year because the buyers are choosier. Realistic pricing matters more now than ever. The smaller houses could be those quiet winners as buyers are looking to stay within budget. And if you're a seller, make sure your home stands out from day one, because overpricing it up front will almost always cost you more in the long run. And as always, if you are thinking about buying or selling, or just want to keep a close eye on how things are shifting month to month, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information will be up here. I'm here to help you make a sense of these numbers, maybe find out what is the best fit for you, or if the next chapter in the Villages is right. If you found this helpful, of course, give it that thumbs up, maybe subscribe. It's free. It helps me. It says that you want to see more videos. You can always drop a comment below if you have any questions, or really if you want me to cover any other real estate topics here in the Villages, Florida. Like I said, I'm going to get back to my other kind of like regularly scheduled. I just needed a kind of day to compress. But my name is Caitlin. I'm a realtor here with Visit the Villages, Florida. Actually, I'm a realtor with LPT Realty, and this is Visit the Villages, Florida. I'm so glad you guys have stuck around, and let's do it again. I'll see you in the next one.